like Justin Thomas. The JT stands for Just Thursdays.
Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog Fantasy. Code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy right now. Get you a deposit bonus of up to $250. 3M Open. DraftKings picks, round one underdog preview, the weather, the one and done, the final bets, the ownership percentages. It's all here. And Tambo from shipitnation.com is in studio with me. Sir?
Back. Good thing we didn't do stuff with Rory last week because that did not work out, but a fun open and back onto the 3M Open right here, right now.
Yeah, I should have trusted the Fantasy National Simulator last week when we went through like all of the odds. Like, yeah, the guy with the best value is Xander.
Yes.
Yeah, didn't do that.
Certainly was, and now 2 majors for old X-Man.
True, but I think that Trump won a major yesterday on Bryson's YouTube channel.
Bryson won the major. He got up to his 1.1 million followers, 2.5 million views in like the first 8 hours or something. Just a good day for old Bryson. Funny video to watch.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, most of it. I got through pieces of it.
I got through like the first 20 minutes. The first thing that stuck out to me was Trump was driving to the first tee and like the fear in Bryson's eyes with this old man driving this cart. Then it cuts to them driving like to the green on the first tee and Bryson's driving all of a sudden.
He switched it over real quick,
Yeah.
and they had some of the awkward handshakes and all that stuff going on as well, but he played pretty good.
Trump not as, I mean, you could tell the people online that either just straight up hate Trump and just whatever he does, like it's the worst thing in the world, or have just never played golf before. It's like, how is this guy any good? Like, granted, his putting stroke is just ridiculous, but the result of the putts aren't bad.
I was just going to say, it's more, that's like everything. Everyone has a buddy that does this or something like that, and they just play completely unorthodox, and then they do fine. And then we make fun of it all the time with actual PGA Tour professionals. Like, that's a bit weird. And then, boom, they're in the final 5 or whatever, going into the weekend top 5.
Yeah, like, could you imagine if you showed up to the course and got paired with a guy who swung like Matthew Wolff?
Yeah.
And then you're like, he hits it 350. Okay, never mind.
Never mind. That's a jet taking off when he hits it, and it goes quite far. Yeah, we got it.
But it just the discourse, like, I can't believe this guy says he's a 2.5 handicap. Like, he didn't make any putts. Like, dude was putting from like 28 feet. Like, do you really? My guys can't make 5-foot putts on the PGA Tour.
He beat Bryson on the one shot there too, and he put it to like 12. I don't know.
Number 2.
Yeah, so it's like that. There was some good shots there. He put up some decent stuff where you could actually say, okay, maybe he is better than we thought.
Yeah, dude hits it dead center every single time. Like, it's like 220, whatever.
He's got his swing figured out. It's almost too like I think Kenny, our guy, was saying like how he does it with that weight and swinging it around and everything. But it's like that's when we made fun of like Sungjae Im lose some weight, Sungjae slim. Maybe you're not that guy, and then things like that where we see it with other golfers. They lose their swing once they drop the pounds. He's got it all figured out for the weight that he's at.
Yeah, the biggest example of all time was the Swedish porn king, Carl Peterson. Yeah, he dropped like 40 pounds and like duffed every shot, so we had to eat ice cream and put on the 40 pounds again. And he was fine.
Tough life.
Won the Canadian Open.
Got to get my swing back. Just sitting there eating ice cream every night. Good life.
Sungjae decided he's showing up to the Wyndham. I'm going to be at the Wyndham. If you're going to be at the Wyndham, you let me know. I already got a round booked, I think, for Friday with a viewer. So maybe we can try to pair up, meet up, have some drinks, something like that. Because I'm going to be there a day early just to kind of soak in Greensboro. What do you know about Greensboro, North Carolina?
Not too much, but we've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's the perfect spot for the Pat Mayo Open. This is your event. You love the Wyndham.
I won the Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League 2 years ago. I think I just played the all-Asian lineup. I had Sungjae, Tom Kim, and John. Whatever happened to that guy?
I don't know. Question mark.
He won me a GPP.
Johnny question mark is a question mark now. That was the nickname, and yeah, I don't know where he's at right now.
Well, the other thing was on number 2 when Trump put it closer than Bryson, and Bryson's like arguing with him, going up to the green the whole time. He's like, actually, it's probably better to putt downhill. He really wanted to use his shot.
Tried to want to make it what it was better. Yeah, I wanted to use his. Yeah, that was the infamous line too. He said Trump got inside of him on that shot, which he did.
He did get inside of him, just like you were trying to get inside Rory, but didn't.
I definitely was not, and I told you I was not on the show. You got it.
How'd you do anyway?
It was a good week. Could have been a lot better. On Saturday night, I was second in the $5, so I slept on the lead. Me and Billy Horschel, very similar weeks. So I slept on the second place, and I was 14th in the Millie Maker, the $25. I was 20th in the 888 with a 5 of 6, and I ended up finishing like $3 or $4 grand profit on the week, but good week nonetheless.
They were lingering like it could have been the
Oh,
week.
definitely. There was possibilities. Our guy Nelson Adcock got cut sweats. He had it all up there. I think it was 4%. It's nothing major, but good.
Man, 1 in 25 shot.
It was decent odds going into Sunday, but that's the way Sundays go. Sam Burns was the guy that let me down. It's the second time this season that he's done that. So
now he's going to win this week. Then
we're in on Sam Burns.
I wrote him up as my fade of the week.
We gotta play some Sam Burns.
Are you playing any Billy Horschel?
Oh yeah. I don't care about that stuff either.
I care about guys who are in content. Like guys that were out of it and just kind of hit and giggle.
Yeah.
Get out early. But like
nobody has the data, but everybody says it. Yes. It's the biggest excuse in all of golf content. If they go out and have a bad week, it's, see, I knew because they were in contention. It's a motivation thing. The letdown, they were overseas in the travel. If they're in it again, nobody says that. They ignore it all and go, we saw signs last week at the Open. It should make sense. Now they come up against a worse field, an easier course. Life's easier, blah, blah, blah. It's a 50-50 split.
Yeah, but I think that if you're going to do it, don't be like, hey, I'm playing Justin Rose and Thirsty Lawrence, but I'm not playing Billy Horschel because he was in the mix. Like, all these guys were in the mix. I think either you use them all or you don't use them.
Same thing I said last week when people, you got to play the best wind player, this guy, but then they talk shit about 3 more really good wind players that are right behind them. Which is it? That's my take. So yeah, I'm going to ignore that. Like always, I'll play some Sam Burns, some Billy Ho. I'm just looking at some of this stuff here now. I guess we're going to look at the weather. I know weather was a huge factor last week. It ended up being a big one because even the guys, like we only can cover the first 2 rounds, right? We see what happens, but for our guys to make the cut, and then you get what the weekend gives you. But I know that a lot of the guys had a bad draw on Saturday. Even like they almost got a punishment for playing good through the first 2 rounds, right? Because they had to go out in the worst of it on Saturday, and you can't really control that. That's just the way it goes, but that changed the leaderboards quite a bit on both PGA, or the Open, and in DFS as well.
I like that you were riding Billy Horschel along with me.
Yeah, I was good with that. I don't know when you talked me into him, but it ended up working out. It was him. It was actually a lot of the guys. I think some of the ones that even the trend stuff came through in some cases, like the Lowrys and the Roses, and I think Xander fit it perfectly, but was outside the age by like two years or whatever. How old's Xander? 28?
Yeah.
Something like that. I think he was outside of it by 4 years and whatever. It was 32 and up, but everything else he nailed. So yeah, crazy how the stuff goes and it works. But Xander, an absolute loser, can't close anything, and now he's 2-time major champion, Xander Schauffele.
Insane to think about.
Way she goes. Remember when Victor Hovland was going to win everything this year?
I remember that, yes. So I think in 2 weeks' time, Feinberg, myself, and Vincenzi are going to redo the power rankings. I think the top 3 are pretty set in stone at this point. Then we have to figure out who the rest are.
Are you going to put Bryson in it?
Yeah, Bryson's. I would have. We'll talk it through. I would go Scotty, Xander, Bryson would be my top 3.
Yeah.
Like for power ranking the golfers right now. That would make sense.
Yeah, I think so. It's the major. It's literally the majors.
It is, but like it's.
And Bryson played good in all the other majors, bar this one. And
he almost broke 50 with Trump.
You got to add that in there for a little boost. Where's Trump rate?
Trump's like 8.
Okay.
Trump and Xander, or Trump and Victor are like neck and neck, inside the top 10 right
Speaking
now.
of neck, do we still got Hideki up there?
No, poor Hideki, man. The guy, he must have gotten injured.
Imagine that.
After, right before the Masters, I guess, because he was fire, and he's been awful since. And it was every week. He was awesome.
Yeah.
And then he had that little tweak he pulled out of whatever tournament that was, and that was just the end of him.
Luckily, we don't got to worry about him this week.
No, we don't. I haven't worried about him in a while. And it's been, I wouldn't say it's been paying dividends, but at least my money's not going down with that ship. Let's jump to Underdog for the moment and try to come up with a round 1 entry that we can go with. I'm on a real bad Underdog. Cold streak, I guess. I was going to say a bad heater, but it's just a cold streak.
The opposite.
So I need to get something on the go here. So we'll talk about the weather in a second, but the weather for Thursday looks really good. The weather for Friday looks super windy. Earlier, the better it does seem if you want no wind whatsoever on Thursday, but I'm not sweating 10-mile-per-hour winds.
It's also, for whatever reason, quite a bit colder in the morning on Thursday morning.
Yes.
Even Friday heats up 10, 15 degrees more in the morning. Thursday, is pretty low temps.
So how do you want to approach this? Is there anyone that you want to go with just off the hop, being like, hey, I think this guy is going to be good. Let's go with him.
Well, one thing I want to look at this week is just, I think, you know how the week you attacked the fairways and it was pretty good, and then all the numbers got bumped and everything
And
that?
now they don't even put out the numbers?
Yes, because it was like an angle of approach. I really think the birdies number is low this week.
Like four,
Four and a half.
5?
Like they're gonna make. There's so many opportunities for birdies out there there's not much wind going on Thursday at all, whether you want to choose regardless. Who do you think is going to be the birdie makers? That's what you got to figure out. But even like an Akshay is 5 birdies.
Seems like he should be higher.
We're splitting hairs a little bit. I know people are going to say, what do you want him to be? 5.5, 6, but they don't really show 6s on here, right? Like you don't see them, or I've never seen them, but 5.5 is common. 5's common. But so, I mean, he's at 5. It's about standard, but I don't think the course is standard for that. So I think you could see him put up 6 birdies or more, that sort of thing. So he's just one example I give, like Hoagie, 4.5 birdies, Pendrith, 4.5 birdies, Rogers, 4.5. Like all these guys, I think can make 5 birdies.
Okay, so let's do Hoagie. Let's start with Hoagie. Where is Hollywood Hoagie here? Higher. It is 0.9, so they're on to you with this one.
It's just similar stuff to like when people, don't bet it. It's minus 120. You need to find something with plus money. No, I need to find a winning bet that's going to pay off. And so we'll take it.
You know who I actually really like this week? Keegan. I was thinking about betting Keegan. I'm not there yet.
The best part of Xander winning the major.
Was Keegan like, hey, what's up?
The new Ricky Fowler, but it's because Ryder Cup captain, so he has to get out there right away. And then remember there was some comments made of like before the Open, how Xander was like, he didn't really endorse Keegan, but he said like, I think he'll be a good guy because he knows when we need to be up and maybe we won't need to go to as many of these events and all this stuff. So it was just funny to see Keegan out there doing that, but I'm good with Keegan too. What's his number?
I believe it's 4.5. But the other one I wanted to go to, just to kind of play the other side of this, is Thigala's on here, and it's also a 0.9, but his bogeys are worse as 1.5. Like, I love Sahith, but guy likes to make bogeys.
Okay. How come I don't see Keegan? Is he even on here?
Yeah, Keegan's just second from the top.
Oh, he's literally first on mine. That's why.
Yeah.
I scroll past him.
We can go 4.5 birdies or better. We can do lower than 68.5 strokes. There's a bunch of different ones that we can play with.
One thing I will say, this is another thing I would pick up on this week, at least with this, how I look at it, is it's also a course we know there's tons of trouble out there, tons of water, regardless of wind. We've seen it plenty of times where the water still gets these guys. That's why I'm saying I do like these birdies. Birdies are better versus the strokes because like they can give it back on a triple on one bad hole at the end, but they might still have 5 birdies on their card. You know what I mean? And they finished the day at 2 under based off of that, give or take some pars on the rest of the holes, whatever it might be. So speaking of 4.5, if you go Keegan, 4.5 birdies or better, Hoagie, 4.5 birdies or better, Thigala, 1.5 bogeys or worse.
4.46. It's way lower than we're looking for, but it's still 4.5 times your money.
I'm looking for 4.5 times my money often.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay, let's try that then.
Let's do that. I'll take 4.5 times my money.
I'll throw this down in the show notes for the show. It'll also be in the free newsletter a little bit later on. 150 pays $669. We'll throw that one in for our underdog entry for round 1 of the week. Additionally, if we go to drafts, by the way, I should probably share this link before I completely forget. So we'll go to drafts. I don't know if you saw this or not. They have PGA drafts, NFL drafts. Of course, they have all that stuff. But if we go up there right now, you see the PME Cup is a part of the draft process right now. There's 870 entrants. I think it's 154 already. It's already 20% full. The rake is super low for this. I think it's 8%. But it's a flat payout structure. 2,000, 1,900, 880, 700, 600. And basically you draft for the 3 tournaments in the FedEx Cup playoffs. So I think that's the speed that I like for this. I really enjoyed the majors one that they were able to give to us. I think this is a fun one that we can do, and I think we might try to run it back for football in a different way as well. I
like it. 2,000 to first, 250 to the top 15. So you're getting at least 250 for a top 15, and then a min cash is $45 for 116 people. So pretty good payout structure too. Yeah, it's 10 max, 25 entry. We're going to be doing some drafts on the show as well. Maybe we'll cook that up for next week, depending on what they have for Olympics type stuff. But that's what I wanted to look at. Let's take a look at the weather though. As I mentioned on Thursday, it's a bit colder in the morning, but it heats up very dramatically. So it might not even be that cold in the morning if it's going to heat up 30 degrees over the course of an hour. That's what it shows. It shows at least 20 degrees over 2 or 3 hours, so it's going to heat up quick, yeah. And the winds max out in terms of gusts at 12 miles per hour. The next day, though, looks like there could be maybe a splattering of rain and gusts up to 25 miles per hour. Like that's real wind now. Yeah, it's really hot in the afternoon. The winds are the highest sustained and highest gusts, and so if you want to target some PMAM, I got no problem with that, but I think the problem is what you are going to find is there is only, when we get to DraftKings, 3 guys above 9K that even have a PMT time.
And Sam Burns is one of them. Sam Burns, Billy Horschel, and JT Poston are the 3 that qualify for that metric. Poston's been bad, too.
Poston has capability. It's just whether or not he shows it.
Sure, just recently,
Yeah.
he has not been good.
Yeah, I will give him a pass bar this field, but it's, that's part of it. Like, strength of field to me matters. I think there's a lot of other guys that you could go to, though, for sure.
And I think that's a very important note to put out there, because this happened with Dunlap last week, that he had just been playing against all these elevated fields, all these signature events, and you finally put him against a bunch of goobers, and he beats them.
Yeah, I wish I paid a little more. I paid a ton of attention to the final 10, 12 holes because the Open's already over. Finally, when the coverage came on, it was awesome. And he's just such a baller, like to watch him go out and do it. But just thinking out loud, I know it's hindsight's 2020, but man, that Stableford scoring and a guy like Dunlap literally sets up perfect. All he wants to do is fire away, and who gives a shit, because whatever happens, happens. The guy literally was an amateur when he won the first one and didn't even get his money for it. So it's like, why not just fire away in this field? And he was dominant down the stretch. And if you watched... By the way, fully out on my guy, and we'll talk about him this week.
Patrick Rogers?
No, for sure him. Let me say 2 things then. Mark Messier, can't do it. This little pre-game routine is worse than anything I've seen. Might be worse than Trump for his little pre-setup that he does on every shot. I'm not sure if you saw that or not before putting. It's worse than Billy Horschel. Watching him do the etch-a-sketch with his feet there. This was bad. Mac Meisner. And then also Patrick Rogers. Like, if you want to realize why this guy never wins, just go back and watch those 9 holes again. Last year, like the playoff, Akshay, talent, I get it. Like, tough scene, but...
Yeah, you lose to a guy who's better than you.
Akshay got you. This year, you want to see a guy that had chance after chance. He was in the fairway almost every time, and he would put it 50 feet past or in the bunker or whatever it was. Just no ability. It was insane to me. Just couldn't see it. But again, we're back in new week, new field. We'll see what we do. He's been, I think, okay here, right? Like, I think last year he was somewhat in the mix. I'll have to look it up again. But either way, that was my 2 comments on the Barracuda and Dunlap. Amazing job.
If you're looking for the weather tower that I'm using, it's the Ancoa County Airport on Windfinder. And again, I'll provide that link down in the newsletter, which will come out on Wednesday evening, along with the write-ups, the tee times, the final bets, all the hyperlinks that you need. And tomorrow on the show, I got Morency and his buddy. We're talking Olympics betting.
And his buddy. This should be great.
This other guy almost qualified for the Olympics as a swimmer. So he's like swimming tout.
His swimming buddy. I like this too. And Patrick Rogers has been good here. Yes, 37th, 39th, and 32nd. Very Patrick Rogers-esque.
Hasn't been as good as Keith Mitchell.
Made the cuts, though. Yeah, Keith Mitchell actually, where's he at here?
He's T5 the last 2 times he's played.
JT Poston, 2nd
I
and
know.
11th. Wow.
I saw it. That's why I brought up Poston.
Cam Davis, all these guys. Hoagie, 4th, 20th. Emiliano Grillo. Holy.
The way, and it's funny because the one year that Hoagie, I think, came 37th or so, he gained all the strokes on approach and was just brutal everywhere else. You know, what he does.
Course history, man, right in this range. The 8K range is loaded with it when we get there.
So, final bets for me of the week. They're not actually final because I have 4 bets. That's it. I bet Akshay at 25 to 1. I bet Hoagie at 35 to 1. I bet Austin Eckroat 80 to 1 with the 5 placings. And I bet JJ Spawn 90 to 1 with the 5 placings. That's all I got.
Eckroat, we're going to see if this one pays off this year. Last year at the Fantasy Golf World Championship, he was, I believe, 56% to the tune of a miscut.
Here?
At this event, yes. Okay. And so this year we'll see what he does, but it's he's coming in heavy chalk again.
Is he like at 35% chalk?
Yeah, I don't know. If there was like a higher stakes one like that this week, I mean the 3180 is out there, so maybe in that one, but people sort of have adapted a little bit. But I'm seeing him, for example, projections want to put him in 90% of lineups if you don't make any adjustments.
Really?
So he's looking very popular across the board, and most places have him 15 to 20%. And that could boost up.
Do you want to sell? I mean, I'll ask the comment section as well. I'll actually delve into the comment section after this show. If you have a bet that you think that I should be making, please leave it in there and give me a sentence worth of why. Not Adam Hadwin, I like him. Jeff's on Griot. I see a lot of people on Griot. I get that.
I think it's just the history, right?
And just
he hasn't been doing anything to warrant it. 43rd last week, miscut, 55th, 41st, 27th, 64th, miscut, 64th.
He doesn't have quite the lead-in form as he did when he had won a year ago coming into it. But again, he's another guy who's primarily playing against the best in the world. He's playing 90%
I never doubt that.
Events.
I love that call. And again, I don't go off the course history too much, but he has shown up here enough to warrant the bet, I'm sure.
And like Keith Mitchell has excelled with his flat stick in 3 of the 4 times that he's played here. It's really strange. And like the driving hasn't been good, or the irons haven't been good, which is something you just kind of pencil in with Keith Mitchell. It's just I don't like his odds.
What about Finau?
I'm not gonna bet Finau at 10-1.
No, your card, the way it's set up, I think it's good for maybe pulling in some more long shots just because it can happen. But
I mean,
like Lee Hodges won last year, so
Yeah.
other guys can pull that off for
like,
sure.
Outside of Finau, I think it's always been long shots. Matthew Wolff won at big odds.
Yeah.
Thompson won at big odds. Hodges won at big odds. Finau won
Cam Champ, I think when he was
Cam Champ, yeah.
the timing. Vegas was in the mix that year, I remember.
I remember because I had him.
Robbie Shelton was in the mix one year way back when. So it's like, yeah, I could see it, and that's what I think your card is sets up for that. See what the comment section says, and maybe grab a couple long shots.
Yeah, I think that's what I might end up doing. So I'll write up a few other players a little bit later on just to kind of go back now that the stats have updated a little bit to my power rankings from before. Finau is number one. It's Finau, Mitchell, Chan Kim, Clanton, your boy Mark Messier. Do I have to bet Rico He? I've been betting him every single week, and he's like kind of in the mix every single week.
That's why you got to do it again.
I don't know if I can get there with him again. The guy's.
I thought like if you watched those events, it just reminds me of that scenario. It's like if he's not closing up shop on those ones, and it's not that this field got much better. I'm just saying, is he doing it this time around? And then there's a bunch of water to mess with him and all this other stuff. I don't know.
I think I might rather go to like Novak or Svensson and just hope they can putt this one.
What was the Novak rule? Didn't we have a rule on this guy? Like it had to be a birdie fest, I think, or it had to be something like 20 under winning score.
Well, it used to be a resort course.
Resort course was what it was. That is.
But
what
then
it was.
he just
Yeah,
started
sorry.
like he played well at Phoenix, he played well in Mexico, then he played well at Honda. So like three completely separate type of tournaments. And then he had a T7 at John Deere. So I don't know.
Have we seen some Honda crossover? Just for this?
Michael Thompson won both.
I thought there was more than that too, but yeah, okay. Because just like the Keith Mitchell one.
Yeah, Keith
Obviously, he's
Mitchell's
won
played
and
really
has
well
played
here.
really well here. Didn't Cam Davis show up to the Honda a couple times, and maybe even the Cognizant, like at the setup there? So I think there's.
It seems to be like a lot of guys, but this used to like back end with the Rocket Mortgage. So I don't know if it's so much that the Rocket Mortgage shares anything with the 3M, or they were basically just the same fields. So the guys that were playing well just continued to play well back-to-back weeks.
And I think, yeah, people might confuse it, but like the idea of just, it's not the same setup or, that course plays way harder. It's just if you can avoid the water there and you can find your way around, well, here, if you can do that, you find also a lot more birdie opportunities, which in turn puts you up the board. So, yeah, I think at least somewhat interesting to look at. And then, yeah, Eckroat.
Jake Knapp.
I like Jake Knapp this week.
Jake Knapp played really well at PGA National.
I think he fits well, too, though, for like the setup of the strength of field. Like, you gave the Dunlap example earlier. Our guy, Degenerate 75, always talks about it. You play Knapp when he's going up against all the worst players. When he's in these tougher fields, he's come through sometimes, but it's also like he's probably better off beating up on a field like this than it is the stronger fields where it's just going to be a whatever result. That would make sense here, more of like a Dunlap field from last week.
So that's what I got for bets. I'm probably going to bet Rahm on Live at 7.5 to 1 or 8 to 1, whatever it is now.
Yeah, he was trying last week.
He really was. Really did try.
It's tough to make the full Sunday run because the front nine is easier. So it's like you're going to.
Well, and you know that you have to keep making birdies if you want to get back. And it turned out that it would have been irrelevant anyway. He wasn't getting a 9 under to beat Xander.
That was the thing. Billy Horschel, like 68. Not
even
bad.
Rose, like Rose, Lawrence, and Horschel all played well. They just got
Lawrence,
beat.
really impressive. Like, it's your boy. I forgot to talk about that. But yeah, Thirsty, man. He was solid on Sunday. That was really clean. But obviously what Xander did was much cleaner and got the job done. So solves that.
One and done for us. I'm fading quickly in the one and done. It's not going great.
Same.
There's a swing season one and done that is now available
Saw
at
that.
fantasygolfchampionships.com. It's $100 to play.
I saw that.
Keep you in the loop as we go through everything. But yeah, I am still in the money in one of them. So let's figure out who to take here. I have Thigala, Horschel, Dunlap, Hadwin. Screw it. I'm using Hoagie.
Yeah, use your guy. Did you use Akshay?
I've used Akshay.
I think
now.
Akshay and Thigala are going to be popular this week just because whoever. And also probably Sam Burns. I know not many have him left. He fits the example of what we gave last week. I think Sam Burns is like 35%, but I don't think anyone's saving him for anything. He just showed a sign of life. I don't think he'll be the most popular. I just think anyone who has him, what are you going to use him for after this? May as well just use him now.
I completely agree.
So-
And I saw a lot of people betting EVR this week.
People love betting EVR.
Remember when we all tried that one time?
Well,
here?
what was it? Like his wife's family?
Well, he went to the University of Minnesota.
Yeah,
and he
that-
like lives in Minnesota. So people are like, yeah, Minnesota, here we go. I think Troy Merritt's also from Minnesota.
Troy Merritt week, flowchart week.
Is it?
Cheap.
I bet him last week, and I think he missed the cut by a million strokes.
That's why
he was
this
shooting
week-
like 9 under when you
But
had
think
to be
about
in the
last
positive.
week, not a birdie fest.
Last week was a birdie fest
No, it wasn't.
at the Barracuda.
Oh, at the Barracuda. Sorry, I was thinking about something else. The thing about this week, is he playing? Yes. Is he cheap? Yes. Is it a birdie fest? Yes. Play Troy Marin.
I'm going to use Kitayama in the other one. Just roll the dice on someone who I think is good.
He's up the board for a good play, and he's a PM starter. So if people are going to be building those PMAM lineups, he's going to fit into them quite nicely.
Okay, well, I guess that does make some sense. Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. Everyone who tunes into the Pat Mayo Experience knows from time to time I like to talk to you about some health supplements that I end up taking, and I've been doing Timeline's MitoPure now for about a month. Feel great? And I think you can too. Take 2 soft gels a day for 2 months, and you can see significant improvements in your cellular energy, your muscle strength, and your endurance. That was the big thing. I've been golfing more this summer and lifting less. Yet when I go back to the gym for my once a week, like max lift, I'm not really atrophying that much. I'm not losing a ton of muscle, which is absolutely fantastic news for me and my golf game, because if you work out too much, then you get too sore, you get too stiff, you need to retain that flexibility. I'm retaining my muscle mass at the same time, although I'm not working out as much, and it comes in 2 product designs to fit your needs. They're berry powder, which is great to mix into your breakfast, yogurt, or daily smoothie. That's how I've been doing it. I've been eating some strawberries, raspberries, blackberries with a little bit of yogurt, a little bit of protein powder, then boom, Timeline's MitoPure right on top of that. Or they have soft gels for the days where you're just on the run and wanted something convenient to grab and go. So, Timeline is offering 10% off your first order of MitoPure right now. So go to timeline.com/mayo to get that 10% off. All right? Let's move over to DraftKings and try to figure this out this week. So the big 3 that I'm seeing is Finau, Akshay, and Keith Mitchell at the top. Like, those are the 3 players that everyone seems to be gravitating towards.
So you can see where you land, but like Finau Eckroat just starts off the chalk.
Okay, Finau, Eckroat.
And now because you have it, the thing is this week too, so they finally brought us back to no 5K range. So just looking at some of the builds there is a lot of builds, and I should say this, also only 3 10K guys. So I am seeing a lot of builds with like 2 9s, 2 8s, 2 7s, or 2 9s, and 8 and 3 7s. Like those are actually looking common, but there's still going to be that heavy contingent of Tony Finau builds that have Eckroat and then 8,100 left to play with. So I think like you mentioned, like Kitayama,
Well, some of
Gim. Someone's, a lot of people talk about Gim and Svensson here.
Some of the names that I'm seeing from the bottom that people are going to. You mentioned Gim. I would agree on that. Shipley, I think, will be relatively popular. Maybe Spawn. Like, when I say popular, I mean like 8, 9%. Like, it's a collection of these names people are picking and choosing from. What do you see from Hayden Springer at 7,000? Because him and Carson Young were the 2, like, lower guys that I do see
Young,
more popular than the rest of the people around them, at least.
Yeah, Young will have a lot more.
Because he's 68?
I think, is he 68 or 69?
69, sorry.
Yeah, 69. But, man, I think it's already here.
Like Chan Kim and Rico Hui, are they stat model guys, or are they guys people will actually use this week?
I feel like Chan Kim can get some love here.
Like,
Because he makes things work. Like, I tried to use Kitayama in this, and this lineup would seem pretty popular to me. Like, Finau with EVR and Hoagie gets you Eckroat, Gim, and Chan Kim.
So it's one of these weeks.
I don't think people love EVR or Chan Kim. I think they just end up being clicks because of that. I know they like Gim, so I was trying to... Maybe you work it a different way. If you pull out Chan Kim Tom Hoagie, and EVR. Just leave Gim in there because I definitely think Gim makes sense.
Let's put Bhatia into this and see what we got. 7,600 left. That would give us Chan Kim and Mach Messner.
Yeah, like that. That's definitely a possible lineup as well, right there.
I think that people will try to jam in two of Finau, Bhatia, and Mitchell.
Finau Bhatia makes quite a bit of sense for a starting point if you're not starting with Bhatia. Okay, let's think about this for 2 seconds. Do you think if people don't go to Finau, they obviously aren't going to Thigala as much? Now, he's going to get ownership as a product of the pricing and the week that we have and everything that goes with it. But I think people just look at him as the 3 missed cuts, not playing the greatest, can spray it, water, all those things. Burns, well, some will be playing him, especially if they're going with the PMM.
More than Thigala.
More than Thigala is all we'll say. That's what I was going to say, too. And, like, again, other people have concerns because of the travel and contention and bailing on Sunday. And he's fucking
Sam Burns who gags every tournament. That helps.
Yeah, that's possible as well. But I do think people just naturally say the talent is Bhatia. Just go to him. He almost won the 3M, the Rocket Mortgage, similar stuff. He can score. He's just too talented for this field. He's 9,800. So if you took Finau out and started with Bhatia, do you think people go to Mitchell? Is that where they would land?
I think so, or Clanton.
Yeah, people like Clanton. It's kind of like an opposite effect. I don't hear as many people talking about him, even though you'd expect they would, because people like to latch onto a guy. But I do think they're actually going to click him.
I think they probably should. Like, the guy's been great.
Yeah, he has. All these guys have potential.
The one that I was really surprised about, and I think if you kind of use the young guy flow chart and to see how it goes here, I might bet Thorbjornsen. I'm definitely going to play Thorbjornsen because people are using Clanton, people are using Shipley, people are using Mark Messier. No one is using Thorbjornsen anymore, who is supposed to be the best of these guys.
Yeah, he looks good too. And I actually, when you said it earlier, I just don't think because of the pricing and where he's at, that Shipley can get too much love this week.
No, but I think that he'll chop it up with all of the other semi-popular guys around him. I don't think he's going to get buried by any means. Like if Spawn is there and Shipley is there, I think people will use Shipley. Maybe they'll use Silverman over him. Eckroat, I don't see as much Eckroat love as you do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because he's going to be the most owned 7K guy on the slate.
Like by how much?
By a lot. Wide
Really?
margin.
So
Yeah, and in high stakes, it'll get even higher.
I mean, let's not talk about high stakes for a second, because I think most people are watching this.
Well, it's a product of it. Let's call them 17 to 20% in the main flagship GPP, and then you take it up to the 30% range in the high stakes stuff.
Unless you think he's going to win. I don't see. Listen, I bet him to win, so I think that he can win, but I don't see that much of a difference between him and every other guy, 10 guys up and 10 guys down.
That's the correct way to look at it, but that doesn't mean that people aren't going to do it. That's the take here. So Eckroat is only, 7,200 this week?
Yes.
And
how about Glover? Glover's good.
He WD'd.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
That's probably why
Glover's
people aren't
out.
playing him. See?
Glover, Werenski, and Rose were the first 3 out.
Okay.
WD. And so that left a little bit of a blank there, but there's still 42 guys or something in the 7K range.
Both my numbers and the Fantasy National Simulator like Rio Hisatune.
Okay.
Why? I don't know. Because he's not very good. And he can't putt.
He's 71?
Yeah, 7,100.
Okay. I mean, right there, that's just a little bit of a savings off of, ownership savings-wise off of Eckroat, for sure.
Well, let's try to reorganize this. We took Finau out, and we didn't finish off this lineup. So we have Bhatia, Clanton as the first two.
Oh, I got it. I thought we talked about it. If you left what we had, it was Hoagie with Gim, Eckroat, and then your choice of Mac Meisner or Chan Kim. Just for the chalky version of what that 9K build looks like. 2 9s and 8 and 3 7s.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it would be. And obviously you can move around pieces to say I'll move off Eckroat to Rio to get some savings, and that gets me Clanton up to Mitchell, but it's just, you're not really doing anything. You're just shaking it around a little bit.
Who's 74? I like Svensson this week. What do you make of Thirsty Lawrence as a DraftKings play? I think it's a bit different having to pay, how much is Billy Horschel? 9,600? 9,600 for Billy Horschel. It would worry me that he went through that grind for the opportunity cost of some of the other guys that you might have to take around him. With Lawrence, he's amongst guys who suck. So there's no real difference
To
there.
me, it's there's no difference in either, though, because it goes back to the original point you made. How can you say that about Billy but not say it about Thirsty? Is there price involved? Sure, but there's field strength involved, too. Thirsty was the one that people would have at last week say, again, you wouldn't because you follow him and love the guy, and he's been great on the DP World Tour, etc. But I'm saying most people would say Billy was where he's supposed to be.
Yes.
Or, he's finally getting there. It's like a Sergio-esque, get a major way down the road type thing. That's what people were thinking with Billy. He's won a lot of big tournaments. He's had a great career. But now it was like with Thirsty, a lot of people were saying, who is this guy? Versus, obviously, we know. But I'm just saying, I think Thirsty's fine, and I think it's the same argument for all those dudes. But he definitely fits the bill, and he's going to be much less owned, I would say, than Svensson, Grazerman, some of those guys in there that people are clicking.
Let's see. Let's get rid of him. Who is at 7,000 that we can use? Oh, your guy Putnam's there.
Yeah, put him in.
Putnam. Woodland?
No. I would play Springer or Buckley over Woodland.
Yeah, Woodland doesn't have any decent finishes. He just kind of gags it away. His round 2 last week in like tough conditions was pretty impressive to make the cut. I thought so at least.
Yeah, I think it's going to see signs of it, and that's kind of what we get with some of these guys.
It's like Berger. Berger who has one good round a week.
Yeah.
And then he misses the cut.
It's like Justin Thomas. The JT stands for just Thursdays. Only time he shows up because it's been really bad beyond that. Last week he did throw a second good round in there, but the best was Baroff talking about how he is now giving away 2 claret jugs over the weekend. Like he won it twice and didn't win it at all, of course. So who do you have in this right now? Rio, Putnam?
No, I don't have Rio. I have Clanton, I have Clanton, Bhatia, and Bradley.
Oh, Keegan.
Yeah, throw Keegan into this mix. Because you said, let's build the chalky version, probably has either Mitchell or Hoagie. What if we just throw Keegan in there? Because he does not seem to be on anyone's radar.
What about your boys here? If we do get Rio and Putnam, it lands on Kitayama.
Oh, does it? I had Thorbjornsen in this lineup.
Oh, how much is he? 77?
77. How much is Kitayama?
No, it's the same. It's $100 less, but you could also now go Clanton to Mitchell.
Okay.
Which you can get away with, I think, once you have... Like, if I think Mitchell will be more owned than Clanton, for sure, but if you already got Rio, Putnam, and Thor in there...
Do you like Putnam? I feel like you always like Putnam.
I always give him a shot, yeah. What's he done here, really? Like, again, it's just more of the price play. 11th 2 years ago, but like just looking at his recent stuff, 21st, 44th, 44th, it's just going to be that. But he's also 7K. He's probably my last guy in.
Is there anyone in the sixes you actually like? Because that was sort of the problem with me when I was going through all this. Like usually I have like, oh, I like that guy or I like that guy and I can use them. Didn't really have anyone who popped out at all.
Yeah, I was trying to look at that too. It wasn't much down here, but when you have 44 guys or 42 guys or whatever it is in that range, it's kind of like you don't have to go there.
Like Nick Hardy is someone I've been betting recently.
Yeah.
And I think that he had some sort of like weird crossover with, of course, in this region on the Corn Ferry Tour. I'm not too concerned about that, as did Ariel, now a winner on the PGA Tour. But he just can't putt right now. The irons are really good.
I think it was, I'm not high on that, but I was
David
gonna say,
Skins?
No, I think actually Henrik Norlander popped a little bit for me, and then I went and looked, and he's also had a couple good results recently too. So
yeah, he was T11 last week, T25 the week before that.
Again, it's not someone
Merritt?
I'm in love with, but Merritt's going to fall into the pool as well, just because.
Well, if we let's take out Rio for a second and use Merritt and throw him in and say, like, hey, Merritt can light it up. He can make the cut. Let's work under that assumption, whether he can or cannot.
Whether he does or doesn't.
I don't
we'll
know
see,
these things.
Yeah.
But now we have 77 to spend again if we do that, and we can get Kitayama and Thorbjornsen. Or Mac Hughes.
How
no,
do we
can't
get up to
Kitayama.
that?
We can get
Kim or Meisner, right?
Or
if we
Mac
take out
Hughes.
Putnam.
or Harry Hall or Vegas or whoever.
I don't know, man. Like Kim and Hoey feel like the same to me.
Kim and Hoagie?
No, your boy Rico. Hui.
Oh, Hui.
Hui. I don't know. Looks like Joey, so I say Hoey. But either way, he's obviously been on fire.
I think it is Hoey.
Yeah, I like your pronunciation better, but still, it's more of just looking at that price point, like Chan Kim, 12th, 10th, 29th. Some of the stats obviously line up that still fit with this, the types of courses, the type of fields he's been up against.
Hey,
he fits that as well.
If we want to play the PGA National crossover, Chan Kim was in a lineup making his 9-foot putt coming back out the next morning to win me a GPP at the Cognizant Classic earlier this year.
You got to get the action on him then. Plus, I said I'm out on this Meisner guy anyway. I probably will fit him into some here and there, but it's like...
You just don't like him.
I just really did not enjoy watching that. It was so painful to see. So, yeah, I like the Thor call, though. I do think that's an interesting one here. And could be, the same as... I guess, what if you play them all? Like, what if you play like Clanton?
Shipley and
I'm still putting Akshay in this class, by the way, just because he's above it now. But
he's probably younger than these guys.
That's
somehow.
my point. Is like that's what I'm saying. So like, if you go Akshay, Clanton, Thor, and Shipley, and I think I'm missing someone too.
Meisner,
Definitely not. We just talked about
Cootie,
that.
Pearson, Cootie.
Man, he could be the guy.
He's a young man. Now we need. Let's say we just take Merritt up. We take Merritt up to $6,900.
I'm just trying to see if there's another guy. That
Ben Coles, what's he been up to?
He's fine. He can score.
I play this dude a lot, and he gets it going, and then it's off the rails.
Oh, Dunlap. I was gonna say coming off the win.
Fuzzy Dunlap
Drops us to 75, and we get your boy. Hui.
instead of who? Bradley.
Well, no, I just went. I started the lineup over. I went with all the young. I went with Bhatia, Clanton, Dunlap, Thor, Shipley, just to get those 5 in, and then it left me Vegas, Hostler, Rico, or Matt Wallace, and I'm just going with Rico.
Rico Hui, not a young man.
No, I know, but just to throw in your guy, I'm saying there's none. It's a Hostler, Vegas, Wallace. Who do you want to put in? Oh, you know what we could do? What about how old's Grazerman? He's been on fire.
You know, I don't know how old Grazerman is.
I'm going to find out right now just because we got to fit the narrative, Pat. Let's guess.
See.
How old do you think he is?
I mean, looking at him, 29.
Got it exact. You pulled it up.
Like, he looks like he's older than 29, but he should work at a carnival?
Grazerman. Yeah, this is not going to project well, but if you really believe in these guys, that's the way to go. Maybe not all of them in the same lineup, but
I think I like Ben Coles more than I like Grazerman, just as a talent. Obviously, Grazerman's playing better golf right now. Like, why not throw Thirsty Lawrence into this?
Now you're going to make me look it all up. Let me see this.
Oh, it turns out, do you mean Tristan Lawrence?
Yes. And what was the guy you said before that, though? Was Coles?
Yeah.
American professional golfer Ben Coles.
How old is he?
Yes.
33.
34. You're
Yeah.
close. Price is right.
Thirsty Lawrence is 27, by the way.
He's younger. Yeah.
Let's go with him.
All right.
Chuck him in there.
We'll go with Lawrence.
So I have $100 on the table, and the lineup is Clanton, Bhatia, Dunlap, Shipley, Lawrence, Thorbjornsen.
Yeah, young gunners. I like it.
I mean, listen, the first year that we saw this tournament when I was there, Matthew Wolff eagled 18 to beat Bryson and Morikawa.
That was an excellent event.
It was a really fun one. I love the final hole here.
The Bryson pump to get it over there and then make the eagle. And then
Wolff making it from off the green.
Wolff chips it in, and then Morikawa's putt it was like the perfect view they gave us for once, too, of like going down to it. And I was like, oh, it's almost going to drop. And then it's going to drop, and then almost did and did not in the end. So congrats to Matthew Wolff. And now enjoying his live money.
Yeah.
Nice life.
Get that live money.
So yeah, we got $100 left over on that one, but you could play around with it.
I'm not
just
too
to know.
concerned
But that's
about that.
way off the board for ownership, so it's like do whatever you want. So
Well, here's the thing. We've talked. I mean, we're having some fun making this lineup. We went through the chalk build. I don't know what I actually want to do this week in terms of building a lineup. Like if I was to build my $250 entry, what do I do?
I think it's a very lazy week, which I
It
say
is.
often, but this one you have to know it is. Like just
But
look at it.
it
And that's
is.
why I'm saying some of these ownerships are going to get up there.
I'm feeling that too, but it's not like I haven't thought about it and how to construct this puzzle. I just don't know what to do.
So for me, it's always starting with like what do we have in front of us, and then also the roster construction, which is
I
why
think
we looked at that.
Keegan is a nice skeleton key here, I think. So I think that he is a lot better than a lot of players in this field, and I was actually quite surprised when I went through to see how well he actually rated out. Like he's playing pretty good golf right now.
Yeah,
Like last week, he didn't play well, and that's, as Feinberg pointed out, like why even include the Open into any sort of modeling or anything? And I kind of agree. Like, what's that really telling us?
Agree. I'm going to say this. I'll definitely be taking into consideration just heavy thoughts on roster construction and ownership. That is most weeks, but specifically on a week like this where we've got almost a double leverage situation in our favor, maybe a triple, we'll figure it out. But the setup of lazy week where people just want to click, we know it's Finau. We know it's Akshay. We know it's Mitchell, maybe some Clanton. You can just go down the board. You know every zone who's going where, so you can play. For example, if you play Poston and Keegan Bradley as opposed to Clanton, Mitchell, and Bhatia, probably in better, you know what I mean? You're setting yourself up for a different construction, not just pivots, but ways to even start your lineup or go about it that way. The second thing would be that this is a year over year, this is a very low 6-6 right here because of the carnage,
Because of the
of
water.
that. So you do want to set yourself up for big leverage. Heverage, I always call it heavy leverage.
So
is the way to set it up.
Question for you. In a week like this, if I was to play 20 lineups, would you think this would be a week to expand your player pool to try to get a few more bullets through and just different players with those combos, or to really tighten it up and try to sneak through your 14-player, 20-lineup combo, and if you hit big?
So we get asked that question a lot at Ship Nation. A lot of what we do is around education process, questions like that. I think
Code
it's
Mayo.
not, Code Mayo gets you a deal, but just to say it, like that comes up a lot. That's what the community's asking. And I think the question is like people wonder about a week like this, how you said it, which I'm mentioning with like the low 6-6 rates, all of that. But usually your player pool is dictated by what you like. So, for example, if you're a PM AM guy this week and you're just going to focus on that wave specifically, and then you go and look at that wave, so you've already cut your pool down to a wave, and then you say, oh man, I really don't love that it's these guys, and I'm going to take stands on these three. Well, now you've sort of built out that you're going to have probably a smaller player pool since you've already got three guys you're so heavy on. You can spray at the bottom, or if you don't love the bottom either, you can focus in on getting less guys that way. Now your player pool is going to be smaller, but you're still attacking a certain specific situation. The same thing to be said, Pat, is if you don't love the high-owned guys this week, like if you get down to the ownership tonight and say, wow, Eckroat, Gim, Hoagie, whatever. I know you like Hoagie, but just to say if it's somebody out there watching, and you don't like that, last week was a week, same thing. You could have faded a bunch of the chalk and got there on the sense of, maybe without, Sung Jae, I think, came through as chalk.
And Rose. I guess Rose wasn't chalk.
Rose ended up being 12% or something, and what people call chalk and what it actually is two different things as well. But big time week like this, you want to give yourself as many chances at 6-6s. And remember, if you're putting 2 or 3 of these 20% guys in, and 1 or 2 of those bust, you're really going to be set up for 5-6s and 4-6 because there's going to be other guys behind them in your lineups that bust as well. So I would really try and set it up for finding out what you like as a player pool, what strategy you want to attack. And if it's a lot of guys that you like, then expand your player pool. And maybe your contest selection dictates that as well. You might throw 50 in the $5 instead of 20 in the $3 20 max, even though you don't have it maxed out to the 150. It's such a large field that when people go 150, it's not going to be as big of a deal anyway. So for me, I'm always looking at it based on what I like for the week. And this week, I think there's going to be a lot of fades that or like really low, underweight stances on guys.
So I built a PM only lineup.
What do you got?
Burns, EVR and Griot, with Kitayama, Mark Messier, and Adam Svensson. Leaves $100 on the table.
Meisner and Svensson.
And that bypasses both Billy Horschel and JT Poston in the 9s, who are PM. And then I just went to the next two in EVR and Griot. Mav McNeely is also in the 8K as a PM, but
Yeah, I think this is a good example. I'm glad you brought that up. I'll just swap Svensson to Thirsty.
yeah.
Because Thirsty's also PM.
Is he PM?
And I worry that Meisner and Kitayama get up there, so I really don't want those 3 12 to 20% guys. Again, I'm ranging them heavy.
Do you think
here.
Svensson's going to be that highly owned?
He'll be up there, yeah.
Okay.
That's why I'm putting a wider range on the discussion, even if he's only 9 or something. I want to put like a 10 to 20 on them and say that when I already have us. Also, let me reframe it. When people are building PM AM this week, the guys up top, they don't have very many places they can go. What is there, 5 guys total?
Yeah.
I think it's Sam Burns. You had it earlier. You said it. Sam Burns, Billy Horschel, JT Poston, Van Rooyen, Griot, and like you mentioned, Mav. There's 6 guys that they can use. So even if someone says, oh, Tambo's way wrong, Svensson's only going to come in at 8%, and he does, good for that.
In the PM lineups, he will be boosted.
In the PM lineups, it's boosted in there. It's the combos within the combos, levels to it. Like you're already starting with a 3-man combo of the 6.
Levels, Jerry.
There's levels.
There's levels.
You know, that's levels to shit. So you got it. Like this is my setup of looking at that. Why automatically, and you could pick your poison. Anybody else here? Who's 7,700?
Kitty or Thor is, but he's AM. There's no one at 77 who is PM. Chan Kim is the next PM at 76. Him and Meisner are both PM. So is Eri O.
So what happens if you take out Kitayama and Meisner and you do put in your guy Mav?
Then you just drop down to Svensson.
I think you no, because we got Lawrence already in there.
72.
72 is Eckroat, who's PM. Again, everyone would land on that. So it doesn't, again, can it hit? Yes, it's not.
You can just throw in Silverman instead then.
Is Silverman PM in this one?
Silverman's PM.
Great example. There you go. So this is what I'm saying. And now I'm still in the chalk. Like now I've got 4 of those 6 guys that you can possibly use at the top. But that's why I'm not closing it out with Svensson and Eckroat. You literally have, I mean, that lineup will be duped heavy for PMAM lineups. Burns, Van Rooyen, Griot, McNeely, if people get there.
Well,
with 4
I
of
was
those
thinking
6,
that the
it would
reason
close
that I
out with
went to EVR and Griot, and maybe everyone will end up doing that because no one really likes Billy, no one really likes Poston. But I would think that if people are building PM-only lineups, they would heavily feature Horschel and Poston in them, along with Burns.
Yeah, Horschel will definitely make them, for sure.
But then you can't get to all these guys. You can't get to the 8K guys in that circumstance.
That's why what I was saying with this one, what was interesting to me is, while we do have 4 of the 6 up top, it's the 10K Burns when most are still going to play Finau, Bhatia, Horschel if they go up there maybe, that sort of thing, where you've got Burns. Not that he's going to be low-owned, just to squeeze him in there between that. And then when you go EVR, Griot, and McNeely, it puts you off that range of, like, we don't have Gim, we don't have Eckroat, we don't have the Meisners, the Kitayamas, the guys up the middle that we talked about, the Svenssons. So you're not going way off the beaten path, but you're definitely not committing to the same stuff everybody else is. If you added Svensson and Eckroat or Gim into this, it would be a lot more popular lineup.
We could also throw in, who else is here? Knapp is PM at 73. Novak is PM at 74. Gracerman is PM at 74 as well, if you didn't like Svensson or Lawrence.
What happens if you start this lineup with Billy Horschel? Because I wonder if most would start with Sam Burns. That leaves you 75.
There's no one there is the problem. Like, you're just leaving a ton of money on the table. Like, why would you play these lineups?
If you go Chan Kim or Kitayama, you're pretty involved in the chalk too. So,
but I don't think that many people construct that way. So I guess that's a...
Okay, who do you take out of it? You didn't like McNeely as much as EVR Griot, right?
Right.
So what if you add in Burns and drops you to 6.7? Now you're definitely going to get different because you got at most one 7K guy.
Okay, so yeah.
Who's our guy down there that we
Let's get rid of Chan Kim. I'm at 5,500 now. So 66, 65.
So what about my guy Norlander, who I mentioned? Or is Merritt PM too? He is.
So Merritt and Norlander are both PM?
Yeah, so I just want to put one of those guys in just to see what it gets us to.
No, I have both of them in.
Well, I still kept the other guys we said. Burns, Horschel. Your original lineup was Burns, EVR, Griot.
I have Burns, Horschel, EVR, Griot.
Right, you can put them both in and leave the money. I'm seeing what it gets me up to if it does. Norlander is 6,500. I have 6,800 on the table.
Yeah.
So do you like anybody else there?
Not really.
Was Ben Cole's afternoon?
Oh, that I don't know. Let's see. Carson Young, I guess he's 69. He is. Coles is AM. Toasty is PM. So is Neesmith.
Toasty, man. I'll put him in for a second just to get that upside.
What upside? He had like one good tournament this year.
Yeah, it's just if he makes birdies, he'll make them in bunches. That's all I'm thinking. And Merritt's there too, like we said. So you can flip it around a couple different ways, but just wanted to see if it looks any different. I guess what my point would be is when we went to just the Billy Horschel with the 3 8K guys, especially if you're going a PMAM route, you're landing on all the chalk. Like there's just almost nowhere to avoid it. Versus when you add in Burns over the top, if you add in Horschel under Burns so that you have 4 guys up there now, you give yourself no 7K guys, which most lineups are featuring at least 2, if not 3 7K guys, just on all the builds we looked at.
Which means, Finau, Akshay, be on your way.
That's going to be a thing for sure.
So
if that gets there this week, then 6-6 will be probably a lot higher, but it just depends. It's going to depend on those 7K guys.
Yeah, it's going to depend on Eckroat, and it's going to depend on Svensson and Kitayama.
Which is another note, I guess I'll add in then, just another tidbit I would say. By the way, tidbits, done till football.
You're over it?
No, just
you're not doing Olympic stuff?
Not doing the 3M. I'm not doing. We'll talk about that after. I'm actually not. I'm not here next week, so I'm taking a little Olympic vacation, get freshened up, get ready for the football season. But we'll still have Wyndham. We'll still have all the playoff events. We'll still have tons of stuff. But playoff events are shorter fields. I don't do tidbits for it anyway, just in case anybody asks. But another tidbit would be, I think this is going to be a thing. People are going to commit to the all PMAM if they're going that route. They never do. I'm saying in general, but when they do this week, they're going to be fine like we did, just building it out with all of them and building within that 6-man pool. Let's just use PM guys down low that aren't super chalk, and then we can see Finau can battle through this, right? Finau can battle through. Akshay can battle. Akshay, we just said he was the best player in the wind last week. Remember? He's one of the best players.
Didn't work.
Didn't work.
He missed cut by a stroke, in fairness.
In fairness.
Because he went birdie, par, birdie to end his round.
So when people are like, oh, if Burns had just made it, and this is an example that can happen, but Akshay does, well, I would have had him if I didn't go all in PMAM. Well, nothing forced you to go all in PMAM, and you could play a guy like Akshay and leave the $200 in your exact same builds, and now you got a 5-1, which people don't even know what that means or what we're talking about when we say it, but it's 5 guys to the PM, 1 from the AM, and usually it's talked about in Showdown NFL, speaking of which, but just in general here, I think that's fine, Pat. Like, I'm not as worried about these guys up top. Finau, Thigala, Bhatia, Mitchell, Clanton, Bradley. They can find their way around the 3M Open regardless of 15-mile-per-hour winds. I'll build some PMAM that don't feature them, like all in, but I'm saying I'm not going to shy away from putting them into the build still.
So Bhatia, EVR, Griot, Kitayama, Chan Kim, Mark Messier. There's your lineup. $100 on the table.
What was this one? Bhatia, Griot?
Bhatia, Griot, EVR.
Yep.
Kitayama, Chan Kim, Mac Meissner. Mac Meisner?
Meissner.
Mark Messier?
McClure Meisner.
You should get that Lay's sponsorship like Mark Messier used to have.
I bet you can't eat just one. I don't know. This is a good projection, but it's going to be a pretty chalky build.
Oh, yeah.
These lineups
people
are
would
gonna
get
get-
here independent of knowing what they're doing anyway.
Right, and these are the ones I'm saying this week that are going to get busted up pretty quick. Because 2 of these guys missed the cut, and now you got a bunch of 4 of 6s, but probably 3 of 6s or worse because somebody else screwed you in it as well.
And it's the same 3 that everyone else has.
Yes, that's why. So, I mean, that's going to be the key here. And I mean, we go through this on the show to talk about it for that reason. That's why we say don't necessarily put these builds in. We'd love to hit it and everyone join in on the fun. But just in general, we're looking in these ranges. It's like, is anyone playing Sam Stevens? He's in the PM, the same price as Kitayama. Is anyone playing Harry Hall, who's the same price, coming off a win, actually, as Meisner and Chan Kim, who can't figure out a way to get the job done in some similar tournaments. And then you've got Matt Wallace. Oh, but he's just a grinder. Is he? Or
Now,
does
Matt
he...
Wallace loves beating up on easy courses and easy fields. That's his
Right.
entire jam.
So Matt Wallace and Jake Knapp, who's down there at 7,300, are actually both PM guys. For just the example of like you playing your guys in the PMAM, if you want to, that are the cheap ones, that aren't the chalk, that also typically beat up on weak fields. Who would that lineup be? Let's look at that one.
It's actually Mav. It's Bhatia, EVR, Griot, Wallace, Mav, Knapp. Uses all the money.
Bhatia?
5 p.m. with Bhatia.
EVR, Griot,
Wallace, McNeely, Knapp.
Wallace, Knapp, McNeely. How much is Knapp again? 71?
73.
Oh, 73, that's why. Okay, and then it lands on Mav. And funny enough, you talked earlier about Griot beating up on these fields too, which he has beat up on this field specifically. And Jeff betting him, and we said no form coming in, but again, playing in much tougher fields, whereas now he finally comes to a field that he can beat up on. So, yeah, this makes sense to me. Bhatia likes beating up on these fields. Akshay Bhatia beating up on these fields. Yeah, that he would make sense. And then it would just be, can EVR make enough birdies? And Mav McNeely, can he do anything? Mav has hurt a lot of feelings lately, I believe, including mine.
Let's see.
What's he been doing?
I never really play Mav. He got cut
Yeah.
at the Open. He got cut at John Deere. He was 7th in Canada. Good for him.
These were close calls, I think, too. Maybe not the Open, but I thought at the other one he was pretty close there.
Let's see. He was he was 67-75 at Deer Run. So he was well inside the cut until he was just ejected from the cut.
Yes.
He was 10 over.
But that's like an interesting build right there. It's a 9, 3 8Ks, and 2 7s.
with 1 AM guy.
With Bhatia, it's a 5-1. It's got Bhatia as your AM, but also as your chalk guy. And are we really going to see, EVR, Griot, McNeely pump up that high? Probably not. It's the 8K range.
It would be almost impossible based on the way that people want to build lineups that these guys would get too much.
And way
if
more
anything, they're
people-
probably lower than they're projected.
And just of note, that's a great point. And the second note would be, if this is a 2v2 that you can look at it everywhere. All your lineups that you have right now, for those that have built already or when you go to build them, every single Chan Kim Eckroat or Meisner Eckroat can be Matt Wallace and Jake Knapp at no ownership in the same PM wave if you want them playing in that wave, and guys that beat up on weaker fields. Yes, you feel like you're taking on more risk, but are Chan Kim and Eckroat really that safe? No.
Good form for Knapp coming in. 64 in his final round at the Barracuda.
I think that's a good 2v2
Yeah. I mean, I like the other two guys better, so we're good.
set.
There it is. Enter. I'm just looking here at the FedEx Cup standings. So guys that really need to get their ass in gear, because it's top 70 only make Memphis now. It's not top 100 or top 125 like it used to be. Only the top 70 qualify for the St. Jude.
Is that right?
Yeah. With the new FedEx Cup rules.
I thought it was
top 100, but it's actually top 70.
I thought it was like top 125,
No,
but
you-
instead of dropping to 100, it drops to 70 in round 2.
It starts at 70 now, and it's a no cut, I believe. And then it goes to 50 for the BMW Championship, then 30 for the Tour Championship now. So the guys on the outside looking in,
That is dumb.
I agree. From 71 down, Glover, Hodges, Putnam, Shank, Mitchell. For the year that Mitchell is having and how close he has seemed to winning events or doing well, he has like one top 10. He's outside the top 70. It's insane to think about. Kitayama, Svensson, Coles, Harry Hall, Garnett, Novak, Hostler, Gracerman, Lauer, Mac Meisner, Goddard, Chan Kim, all of these. Ricky Fowler's way out. And the guys that are just inside, like 70, 69, List, Davis Riley, Vic Perez, McNeely, Griot, Seamus Power, Dunlap, Hubbard. Seamus Power is only inside the top 70 because he gets to play in signature events and
Man.
piles up points in no-cut
I'm
events.
baffled still. Like 70, 50, 30 is an absolute joke.
I agree.
100, 70, 30, or 125, 70, 30 is the way. 125, 70, 30. Like, they can never figure anything out, man. Like 70, 50, 30. What an absolute disaster. I thought for sure you just messed it up, and then I had to go look it up. I was like, I know you know, but come on, give me something. No, that's what it is.
Who do you think is higher in the FedEx Cup standings, Eric Cole or Victor Hovland?
I could go look it up, but I'm sure it's Victor.
It's Eric Cole by a spot.
Oh, wow. Must be from the start of the season.
Or all season. Like, what has Victor done? He has like
Yeah,
two good
Victor's been
finishes.
bad. That's what I said earlier. I was hitting him a little bit, but he was back for one event or something like that. But yeah, tough scene for Victor Hovland this season so far. He's been really going through it, though. If you saw some of the quotes lately and just some of the stuff he's talking about is wild.
I'm just trying to see like who are the guys I'm surprised that are up there. Bez is 22nd.
I just don't get, like...
You don't get
Isn't
why-
it because the stupid, like, swing season thing, too?
Yeah.
Like, oh, but they'll figure it out and play then. So are these guys, you've got the list up now that I do too. Like, why did Glover WD then if he's 71 on the list?
I don't know.
Nuts. Lee Hodges is 72. He's going to win again because he has to get in. Putnam, my guy, 73rd. Shank. Mitchell is 75th. Kitayama, 77th. Svensson, 78. All these guys we talked about. Coles, 79.
Ricky Fowler, 90 something.
Man, did you see the stat come up with the majors?
No.
It was like Xander's is like the 6th best. The way they did it was like amount of golfers you beat, amount of golfers you lost to, and amount of golfers you tied with for the year.
The Fowler year when he had the 4 top 10s in majors?
2014, and I think it was all top 5s, right?
Was it?
Yeah, it was a really insane net stat. I think he was like 5-14, 7-2 or something, and that was his win percentage based off of those standings. And he was actually better than Xander this year, but it's 2 majors to 0 and nothing since. But crazy to think 10 years ago was when that was, 2014, the Ricky year.
So remember, now that you know the rules for the FedEx Cup, when you do these PME Cup drafts, don't be taking Ricky Fowler in those because he might not qualify. I don't know when he has to go play the Wyndham. It's the only chance he has.
A lot of these guys aren't going to qualify at this rate. But I guess, like, I don't even understand this. Like, Spieth?
Spieth is just inside.
He's 60th. Like, is he going to go figure it out, or what's the plan
He
here?
might not have to, but he might end up playing Wyndham because of it.
Might be close. We'll see. Some of these guys that are, I mean, the thing is, what's crazy is the guys on the outside, if this is the case, it is the case. I'm just baffled by it. The guys on the outside, a lot of them could play well this week. Like, a lot of these guys are the chalk. Like, it's everyone we already talked about almost. Hostler, Novak, Yu, Cole, Svensson, Kitayama, Mitchell, Shank, Putnam, Hodges, all those guys. And that would bump out guys like, I guess some of those guys that are just inside are also here as well, but like Dunlap, Power, Griot, McNeely, Davis Riley's here. So, yeah, I don't know. Pretty interesting stuff, but way she goes.
I think that if you have a win this year, you should be automatically in the FedEx Cup. So it's a top 70 plus if you finish outside, you get in because you won an event. Like, there's no reason for Chris Goddard not to be in. There's no reason for...
Like, how is Dunlap barely inside?
Because he didn't get any points for his first win.
I thought when he went pro, he got
No.
the points in the exemption, but still couldn't get the money.
I don't believe so.
Okay. He's got 700 points,
Because he just won again.
but isn't Barracuda only 200 or something? So it would make sense that he has the win points and the 200.
Maybe he does then.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm wrong, but again, someone correct in the comments. I'll be checking out the comments today too. Just to,
Well, how it's 250 for winning the Barracuda?
200 or 250. I can't.
And he
remember
only has
off
700. Then at that point, he'd be at 750 just off the hop for 500.
I just don't know where else he would have got the points.
He had a high finish.
That's such a big number.
He had a high finish at Memorial, I think,
Maybe.
and that may have been good enough. Let's see, Nick Dunlap.
Yeah, it would make sense that
He had a
get him,
10th. He had a 10th at Rocket Mortgage, 12th at Memorial, 11th in Houston.
Those add up then, because like Knapp has almost 1,000 points, with one win being 500,
and a top
then,
5 the next week.
and then some other big, a little ones along the way. But I guess that's what troubles me is like again, like you said, a guy can win. I know as an amateur, but even with the one win, you'd think that it would pop him in. Is there any winners that aren't in?
Goddard.
Poor Rico down at 101. He could have 3 wins right now.
Yeah. Is there anyone else?
Harry Hall has a win and he's 81st. But something's not adding up
and
here
so
with
does
these
Bryce,
numbers.
And so does Bryce Garnett.
Was Harry Hall's alternate as well?
Yeah.
So it was only 200. Yeah, that's why he's only at 400.
And same as Bryce Garnett. Bryce Garnett's win was also an alt event.
So
he
the
did
alt
it.
events at least makes some sense.
I mean, I think you should still get in though.
Yeah.
If you won one of those events.
You want a PGA Tour event. It's hard enough as it is.
Yeah, and you might even keep your. I guess you do keep your tour card because you won. I guess you don't need the FedEx Cup because you get it for 2 years. But
Patrick Rogers doesn't need wins either. 51st just racks up those points for all these finishes.
No one loves a backdoor T7 in some shit event like Patrick Rogers.
I'm surprised he does that. Man, it's just tough watch. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. This is a good way to look at it. I guess Wyndham is the cutoff for this.
Yeah.
So there'll be this and that because of the Olympics and in between, and that's it. So yeah.
Head to head, I beat you last week. Billy Horschel. Help
You
me.
won?
I thought I did.
No. Double check that shit.
I was winning.
No. I was a landslide.
Were you? Maybe I'm thinking about the week before. Did not do well with my Barracuda lineups. Sorry, you beat me. You only beat me by 20 points.
Okay, wasn't that's these days that's a landslide we'll call it, but not quite. You're right. So
Rom went on the. I can't believe you drafted Victor.
I think I just remember landed on some of these spots. That's what I'm gonna do again this week too. So I'm picking first.
Oh, I used Rory. That's why. That was bad news. You had Henley. I had Billy, and then the rest of our team was terrible. And just Rom was good enough to put you over the edge over Morikawa for me.
All right, I'm gonna stick with new and improved Billy Horschel. I'm gonna build differently here. You can have the top.
All right, I'll take Akshay and Keegan.
Keegan. And I'm gonna go Poston and EVR.
So you are trying to draft the all PM lineup?
It's usually what I do against you, just in case it works out.
It just is
It's part of the bit.
Hoagie
So now you kind of know some of the guys I'm targeting.
and Spawn for me.
We didn't talk a lot about it. We mentioned Spawn. You had multiple Spawn mentions on the show.
I bet him.
You didn't, yeah, and you bet him, but you didn't elaborate.
Well, no, because we
necessarily.
started talking about PM and he wasn't PM, so we kind of fell out of the player pool.
All right, I like Payne, so I'm going to play Mav McNeely. And then I'm going to play... I want to play my guy Putnam.
Putnam, I'll take Thorbjornsen and Svensson to fill out my team and leave $100 on the table.
And then I'm going to close out with Knapp.
Okay. So I have.
Let me just see mine for a second.
All right.
Because I want to see the points and then do yours. So I have Billy, Poston, EVR, McNeely, the 99, the 88, the 77, and I closed it out with a Knapp. Putnam should be, less chalky, at least across the board, even with using some of those PM guys up top. And you have...
Akshay, Keegan Hoagie, Thorbjornsen, Svensson, and Spawn.
Svensson and Spawn. How much is Spawn again? 72?
Spawn is 72.
And you left a hundo.
Left a hundo on the table.
And you've got me by 6 points.
There we go. Easy game.
I like these lineups. I think
They're different, if nothing else.
our head-to-head ones, I'm saying. I didn't really love all the other ones we built, but we'll throw them in somewhere. But I think these are the builds I'm more interested in just because the setup of them. Now, yours is, again, not targeting any wave. Not that you have to this week, just to say that was the difference. Mine was. But I hope people at least took that away as like when I'm looking to do that, the strategy piece of it is what we're always talking about, is just like not landing on the exact same people everyone else is, especially down low, if you already put yourself into a corner up top, being that there's only 6 guys above 8K that you can choose for a PM-only wave stack.
That'll do it. on the Pat Mayo Experience for the 3M Open Underdog Picks. You can find down in the description if you want to tail the link. Obviously, fantasynational.com/Mayo to get 20% off the lineup builder, all the stats for all of your lineups, and shipitnation.com. Code Mayo. You're really going to like the thumbnail for this show, by the way.
Oh, I can't wait. I definitely want to see it. Is it our 3M? I'm trying to think.
It has nothing to do with the 3M.
Okay, I was thinking of something else. But yeah, we'll see. I'll check it out when we get off here. But check it out, shipitnation.com. You can see it. We've got the promo right now, the early bird special. Get in. You get free all access right now if you sign up. So if you're going to be with us for NFL anyway, projections, ownership, showdown, all the stuff that you know and love, you can get in now. You'll get free all access, which gets you right through to the end of PGA, the MMA events. We got UFC 304 this weekend. Just lots of good stuff going on. Use code Mayo to get a discount over at shipitnation.com.
All right, that will do it for me at the PME on X. And once again, code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy to get yourself a deposit bonus of up to $250. I got Gabe talking Olympic bets. We got the Cuss Corner coming. We have some bracket shows, plus all of the football you could ever have, along with the golf. So tons going on Mayo Media Network and the Pat Mayo Experience. And I am Pat Mayo, and I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!